The Jameson raid conspirators in prison. A little light relief. From Lawyers in Turmoil. The Johannesburg Conspiracy of 1895 by Owen Rogers. Soon to be published by Stormberg Publishers. Podcast read by Archie Henderson. One bright exception to the tedium of prison life was a visit from the 60-year-old Samuel Clements, better known by his pen name, Mark Twain. Twain, who had started his career as a journalist, expressed relief that there was only one member of that profession among the prisoners. He expressed no surprise, however, that lawyers were well represented in the prison population. He remarked that prison life was, from some points of view, an ideal existence, instancing the great works of literature written by Bunyan and Cervantes while in prison. The dream of his life, he said, had been to get incarcerated, but whenever he had committed anything, there were never any witnesses except himself, and his reputation for veracity was never sufficient to get him convicted without corroborating evidence. There was no place, he thought, where a man could secure such uninterrupted quiet as in prison. He was sure that the longer they stayed there, the more the charm would grow on them. Although the prisoners were not inclined to view their imprisonment in this philosophical light, the case was, declared Twain, so plain that in his forthcoming interview with President Kruger, he would endeavor to have their sentences lengthened. As he left the prison, Twain repeated these sentiments to a journalist, his only reservation being the presence of so many lawyers, a class with whom he had never been able to hit it off. The journalist seemingly misunderstood Twain's humor, because the next day an article appeared expressing outrage at the soft life the prisoners were enjoying. This led to a reduction in rations, until the misunderstanding was dispelled. Although most of the prisoners enjoyed the writer's visit, one of them, Percy Fitzpatrick, found it rather sad. It was touching, he wrote in his diary, to see one's heroes in their decay. A man who had amused and delighted millions, now ruined and broken in health. It was unfair to expect him to be amusing. In that department, their fellow prisoner, the American Captain Maine, easily outshone Twain. So thought Fitzpatrick. One of the prisoners, Mullins, entertained himself by inviting each of his fellow prisoners to draw a picture of a pig. After their release, he published a collection of 57 drawings under the title, "Showing Our Ideas of the Pig We Bought in a Poke from the Government of this So-Called Republic." In a relatively recent discussion of this publication, the writer commented that, as artworks, These drawings seem to portray an astounding poverty of talent. The explanation, however, as the author goes on to explain, is connected with the title of the collection. The prisoners thought that by accepting President Kruger's conditions of surrender and disarming, they would be immune from adverse action by the government. This was the pig they had bought in the poke, in blind trust, and when they were later charged and imprisoned, they believed that they had been gulled. So Charlie Mullins required each of his artists, including himself, to be blindfolded while drawing his pig. Notwithstanding this disability, the porcine portraits produced by Gilfillan and Hutchinson, and arguably Mullins himself, do show a certain flair.